Leave me all on red, that's some cold. Then you hear me late at night.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Easily Deceived, Uncomfortable Conversations in the Car. And I am your host, Mikey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time watching any of my videos, this channel is basically my thoughts. I share my thoughts about, just random thoughts. Whatever comes across my mind, I like to record it and document it, so maybe it'll help someone, motivate them, inspire them, maybe make them laugh, maybe, help them have a better day. So that's why I started this channel. I spend a lot of time behind the wheel of my car driving, so I'm alone in the car, so I'm pretty much alone with my thoughts. So I just thought I'd start sharing them with you guys. So that is what this channel is about. If you have been following me for a while, then welcome back. I surely appreciate all of the views that I'm getting. I have started receiving a lot more views, so I definitely appreciate you guys for watching the videos. If you will, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, right? If you see something that you like, go ahead and subscribe, right? So today's video is kind of a message for those that I feel like haven't dealt with childhood trauma. So let's get into today's video. All right, guys. So in my last video, I shared a little bit about me, and the reason I started this channel, things like that. It's really like therapy for me. When I did my podcast, when I started telling my story of how I was easily deceived even as a child, which in turn, led me to grow up to be an adult who was easily deceived by different people. So it really was eye-opening and very enlightening for me when I started doing the podcast, just to talk about old memories that I hadn't thought about in years, to kind of deal with them, to see the root of where the deception started and things like that. So I want to give a message to my people of a certain age, my fellow adults, my fellow mature people. I like to give you a message. First and foremost, if you are of a certain age, and I'm not going to put a pinpoint on a specific age, but if you're older, I'm 55 years old. If you are of a certain age and you still have not dealt with your childhood trauma, it's going to show in your adult life. It's truly going to show in your adult life, because childhood trauma kind of sets the tone for your life. It's going to kind of, lead you in either a good direction or a not so good direction because of things that happened to you as a child. A lot of us have dealt with, a lot of cruel, toxic, traumatizing things when we were young, but me, myself personally, and I can only speak for myself because this channel is my opinion, my thoughts, and my observations, but I didn't want to be that person that held on to that childhood trauma into my adult life. I just didn't want to do it because I see it every day. People use what they went through as a child as an excuse to do the things that they do as an adult. And me personally, I just don't think that's right. I think you need to deal with whatever hurt you, whatever traumatized you, whatever experience that you had as a child. You need to deal with it. You need to face it. You need to expose it, just so that you can heal from it. It is so many adult people out here with wounded children that they're walking around with. And that wounded child is them. They are still wounded children, and they're in their big ages of 30, 40s, and 50s, even older. But they're still that 5, 6, 7, 9, 10-year-old child that was hurt. And so now that hurt and trauma has grown up with them. And now they are adults that are still hurting for something that happened to them as a child. And I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be that adult that used my childhood trauma as an excuse to be mean, to be bitter, to be hateful, to be, I didn't want that to be me. And I just my advice or my recommendation to those that are still dealing with childhood trauma or you haven't healed from it, do the work. Do the work. If that means going to see a therapist, going to see a counselor, going to see, your pastor at your church, someone that you can talk to kind of bring all that up to surface so that you can deal with it. When I started my podcast, I hadn't thought about some of those things that I experienced in years. I mean, literally, they had not crossed my mind. But when I started talking about them, they just started bubbling up to the surface. I started having memories of things that I had literally forgot had happened to me as a child. But when I started exposing them, when I started discussing them, it all came out. So if you don't choose to go see a therapist because that wasn't the route that I wanted to take, I have seen a therapist before, some years ago, and it was fine, but that just wasn't, it didn't work for me. I'm not saying it won't work for everybody. It just wasn't it wasn't my choice. So I started that podcast just to kind of get it out of me. That was my therapy session. By exposing the things that I had went through, by sharing my testimony, by overcoming by the words of my testimony, I feel 1,000 times better. I feel like anything that I go through as an adult, I'm not using my trauma from a childhood to, excuse it, or I'm not going through anything as an adult and I'm not saying, well, it's because I went through this as a child. No, I'm going through things in my adult life and I'm handling them like an adult. Right? I'm handling them like an adult. I'm not handling them like a spoiled 10-year-old child where the trauma first began. So I just want to say, we all go through something. Life is hard and it comes at you fast. So if you are a person who feels like always got to be paranoid about what people think about you or what people are saying about you, or you have to, think highly of yourself, think more highly of yourself than you really are, then there's probably some trauma that you haven't dealt with. If you are, a person that feels like you always have to, you know, expose people, there's probably some trauma that you haven't dealt with from your childhood, and you probably need to deal with it. Praying to God to ask Him, Lord, bring it up to the surface. What is it that I'm still holding on to? What is it that is still hurting and bothering me that I have not dealt with? What is it that I have not turned over to you, God, and, left it at the altar? What is it that I'm still holding on to that makes me be so bitter and so angry? Pray to God about it. And I promise you, He will reveal it. He will let you know the areas in your life that you never dealt with, the trauma in your childhood that you're still holding on to, because He did it for me. He literally, he showed me everything that I was still holding on to, everything that I was still suffering from as a child. The spirit of rejection. I had that bad. I felt like as a child, I was rejected because I didn't grow up around my siblings. I didn't grow up around my family. I grew up, by myself in another state away from, my brothers and sisters and my whole family. So I felt a spirit of rejection that I held on to all the way up into my adult years, to where I didn't even know how to have a relationship with my siblings. And I felt like they rejected me, like they didn't want to be around me. They didn't want to be a part of my life. But that wasn't nothing but the enemy making me think that, right? And after I started exposing, how I felt and dealing with it and bringing it up to the surface and talking about it, then God showed me, no, that was just a deception. That was a trick of the enemy to make you think that your family didn't want to have anything to do with you. And the devil is a liar. We know that any lie comes from the devil, because God is not a man that He can lie, or He would lie, right? So My advice, and this is my sincere advice, is if there is something that you know that you haven't dealt with, and I'm not saying you have to come on social media and tell all your business. Maybe that's not the route for you. It works for me. You guys are like my therapist. Y'all allow me to come and lay on y'all couch every day and let me pour out my heart and, my issues, and share my testimony. And I thank y'all for that. I really thank y'all for allowing me to be who I am, allowing me to be transparent, allowing me to show you my flaws and all, and not judging me and still accepting me for who I am. So I thank you guys for that. Thank you for being my therapist. Thank you for allowing me to lay on your couches every day with these videos and just express how I feel, my thoughts, right? So that's today's video. And in summary, if there's something that you have not dealt with and you know you haven't dealt with, you've been avoiding it, you've been running from it, let me give you this little tip. Whenever you detox, whatever it is that's laying dormant in you, you force it to come to the surface, okay? That's what detoxing is all about, right? It's not feeding the disease or the illness or the anger or the emotion. It's not feeding it, and that's causing it to come to the surface. Once it comes to the surface, that is going to let you know what you need to deal with, whether it's for unforgiveness, bitterness, anger, sadness, depression, whatever emotion it is that has been laying dormant in you. Detox yourself. And I'm not necessarily meaning like detoxing with juice or with food or anything, but just detox from the world for a few hours, for a day. Just turn off your phone, turn off your TV, sit quietly, read your word, get in your Bible, detox your body, your spirit, and watch how those emotions just come to the surface. And once they come to the surface, then you can deal with them. So that is my message for today. I love you guys. I really do. I thank you all for your kind words that you have been leaving on my comments. I hope you understand what this channel is all about. If there's going to be any type of exposing, it's going to be exposing of myself, because I'm very transparent. So thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone that, if you know someone that is maybe dealing with some things that they need to hear this. You maybe don't know how to tell them that, but if you are an adult and you're still dealing with childhood trauma, I can't say get over it, but what I can say is you need to deal with it, right? So you guys have a wonderful day. I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a good day.
Loving me. So beware, she's scared of